Hello, everyone. Robert Yazbek here with Team Yazbek at Coldwell Banker. Excited to be joined by Michael Girodo today. Thanks, Michael, for joining me.
Happy to be here, Robert. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Michael is the head of school at Steamboat's Mountain Village Montessori Charter School. He came to Steamboat by the way of Boulder and has worked in education for over 30 years. He's passionate about the Montessori Charter School movement and is playing a huge role in the growth and sustainability of the Montessori school. MVMCS is not part of the Steamboat Springs School District, but is authorized by the Colorado Charter School Institute. Michael's passion for children's education and the Montessori way is inspiring, and I'm super excited to have him here today. Thanks again, Michael. Appreciate your time. I know things are a little crazy in your world, as everybody's world, but being in education and head of school, got to be a huge undertaking right now.
Yeah, we're seriously being stretched in many ways. I think as educators, I just got off of a staff meeting call that we do weekly with our staff just to check in updates, and a lot of the consensus is that this isn't what people signed up for. Yeah. They've lost a lot of that connection and connectivity and ability to really teach and really help steer children in the right direction. You know, they're doing everything they can to keep kids connected and families supported, but it takes its toll, on the kind of the educator's mind, and what they want to do. So, we've got a great staff and they're being really tenacious with this remote learning, but it does take its toll, and it's kind of something we've never really experienced before.
Yeah, exactly. Well, before we get too far into that, how are you and your family doing through all this?
Well, I'm really fortunate. My wife and I, her job has been able to take off for the last 6 weeks and be paid and, take care of herself. And that's been quite a gift in this world. And, I've worked harder in many ways than I have, but it's a whole new world. My son's already, he's grown and living in Boulder still and was laid off, but has managed to put the pieces together, and he's pretty resilient for a 24-year-old. So we feel pretty blessed. My mom's, the only one we worry about. She's in her 80s and, living in Grand Junction, but I have family around her. So overall, we're doing well and kind of taking advantage of what is a very kind of slowed down world. It's kind of nice in many ways and challenging in others. So we're doing well.
Good. Glad everybody's safe and figuring out the new normal here. So we alluded to it, and everybody knows that schools and education have been affected greatly by this crisis. What impact specifically have you all felt at the Montessori school?
Well, as I was saying, I think our teachers are drawn to Montessori because of some of the high level of interaction and engagement with students. Mm-hmm. It's very much driven by student relationships and student engagement and really hands-on work from, preschool all the way through. We run a preschool for 3-year-olds all the way through 5th grade. And these classrooms are dynamic. I mean, they have wonderful large block time of uninterrupted work for kids. And there's absolutely no way you can replicate that online. So that's the biggest loss. And yet at the same time, because I have such a, as I said, tenacious and committed staff, and they're all technologically savvy for the most part, we were able to pretty much switch on a dime to go into remote learning and provide what we felt was, adequate, and then just kept refining it over time. I mean, we were within 5 days of the, March 16th, we were offering, education and getting kids engaged really quickly, and we've sustained some pretty high levels. So I feel really proud of that, but there's nothing that replaces a live classroom and teachers being able to sit with kids and work with them and help them become, independent. I think the one thing I have heard both from parents and teachers, the longer the kids have been in our program at Montessori, that the qualities that have kind of Montessori is known for is cultivating independence, self-directed learning, self-discipline, self-regulation.
Yeah.
While those kids love learning in that environment, going to remote learning for many of them was pretty easy because they were able to set their daily goals and set their plans. They do that every day. They have to put together their own work plans for the week. So their, ability to be homeschooled was easier than others. I've heard that from across the country with friends talking to their friends who have kids from Boston to California. It's like, this was hard for them. And for our kids, for the most part, you know, it was an easier transition, and parents are finding high success for the majority of our kids. I think I still see the loss for all of this as kids that were struggling to begin with. And, you know, some of that's based on capacity, and a lot of that's based on family life and parents having to work a lot, or not be available, or not have a strong family situation. So the people that are really succeeding are folks who have their lives together, and they can really give time to their kids. And the kids that are struggling are just going to struggle more and probably fall behind more. I think nationally we're worried mostly about the margins right now. You know, like, kids are all going to be, you know, suffering a little, but the kids that really count on school as their stable place, those are the kids that are, luckily we don't have a lot of those, but I know in Steamboat there are folks out there that are, it's hit them harder, their families and the kids. So those are the tough things that this situation has kind of brought about.
No question. Well, I can definitely speak for how quick you guys pivoted. My daughter, as you know, goes to the Montessori school. She's 5 years old, and I was blown away as to how fast you guys were on the online learning there. But, you know, you're absolutely right. I mean, I feel like she's adjusted well, and we're getting through it. But it's, you know, the Montessori school, especially at her age, it's so interactive, and there's so many, you know, lessons and all the things there they get to play with and use to learn and all that. I mean, I feel so bad because we can't, I've thought about, like, do you go try to buy all that stuff, you know, but it's like, it's impossible to duplicate. So I you know, I feel for her that she doesn't have that classroom environment.
Right. Well, and, you know, she's a kindergartner, and I watch her in the morning meetings, and I think also the ones that are struggling the most are these 3 and 4 year olds. They're not self-directed yet. They're not independent. And while people choose us because I think we're the best early education program in Steamboat by far, Montessori is so amazing across the curriculum, but certainly in early education. Mm-hmm. But yet there's no doubt that many of our families are counting on that for 7 to 8 hours of contact a day so they can run their lives, and they're not ready, or did they sign up to be one-on-one with their child in a learning situation so we have kids who call it fake school, like, oh, I got to sit down at fake school to try to, you know, no matter, you know, sitting down with a teacher and having them read you a story, or, you know, that screen when you're doing a Zoom conversation and you've got 7 kids that you're looking at, it's really distracting. So I know that if this comes back around, which there's no doubt in my mind that we'll probably end up in some form of remote learning again in the next year. Yeah. But when it does, and if it does, I want us to try to find better ways to engage our 3s and 4s and 5 year olds, you know, with materials and parents and coaching parents. You know, we were so caught up in getting it ready for the kids that we're now just finally doing weekly parent meetings, support meetings, and they're like, if we do this again, we need some coaching. We need to know how to be teachers. They're taking so much of the brunt. So we're trying to figure out the next steps of, you know, what the education in the fall is going to look like. So we're putting together some plans to support parents more. That's if great. This were to happen again.
That's huge. Yeah. Yeah. I'm blessed that my wife was a teacher for a long time. So we have that going for us. So I can't imagine without that foundation how hard it would be. So you talked about a lot of them, but what are the biggest challenges facing the Montessori school right now?
Well, you know, we are a charter school, which is the challenge that we face all the time. We're in Steamboat and not authorized by the district. So we lack local funding. We do get money from the Educational Fund Board, which is the only local tax-based funding we get. So that puts us at a disadvantage when things are good. We live in Steamboat, which is the 4th most expensive school district in the state. And so keeping teachers and retaining teachers is always important and challenging. And we'll be faced with some really tough economic impact. You know, we're going to be faced with, like, I think of it like right now as a 2-pronged challenge. We're going to have to be ready sometime in the summer to have at least 2 different kinds of learning models together. I think we have to always be prepared to be back in the remote learning and do that better.
Yeah.
And then what is live class learning going to look like?
Right.
And if it has social distancing and it has all these other health restrictions, it's going to look different, and it's going to have some challenges for us for sure.
Yeah.
And then right now, the biggest thing we're facing is what is the long-term economic impact going to be on the state funding sources, tax base. You know, particularly, I think 50% of our tax for per pupil funding comes from sales tax. So, you know, it's $3 to $4 billion down over the last few months. So they're projecting some big cuts, and everybody's echoing 2008, which I didn't have to go through as a school administrator, but that type of 2 to 3 year cycle of lower money for the school is going to, a big school, but a little school, we don't have the scale of economy. So, you know, we're running on razor thin margins as it is. So I'm nervous about that going into the fall, to be honest with you, but you know, we'll be creative and put together something we know will be really good for students under the circumstances. But yeah, we're looking at funding, and I think we're looking outside of our normal grant supply. You know, we have grants that we look at to help support nonprofit charter school education, and we're having to dig a little deeper into our reservoir to see who might be, because I don't think fundraising in this climate is going to be the same as it ever was, you know, for a while. So I hate to talk money all the time, but that is kind of our biggest challenges, and it runs everything, and it's probably the largest factor in charter school failures. It's not about having a good program, it's having good planning. So luckily right now we have good enrollment. You know, I think if this is going to go in the world of social media in the next few weeks, I think people that hear it need to know that we do have a few spots in our elementary program, you know, first, second, and third grade spots. If you have a child that you feel like would be benefit, you know, Montessori education, give us a call, set up a tour. We have a ton of kids who want to be in our preschool programs. So we know that we've got, you know, great reputation out there, but right now enrollments will drive, you know, budget. So getting a few more kids in our program would be helpful, and hopefully everybody that is a part of our community, which is a strong one, will survive this, you know, downturn in economy and be able to stay in Steamboat. Some folks are nervous about that factor, you know, you as the realtor, are people going to move here? Are people going to have to leave here? So we're still playing with a lot of variables.
Got it. Yeah, that's a tough. You guys have your work cut out for you. That's for sure. That's a lot of unknown and some serious tasks ahead of you. I think for whatever it's worth, you know, all speculation, but I think people are going to be moving from the city to places like Steamboat after this as quick as they can. So,
well, that's
but like you said, a lot of people are going to have to leave too.
Well, you know, we're looking for all the silver linings we can, and I think education and life is going to shift for us. Hopefully, societally, we'll, you know, take care of each other. I think that's one of the things we're learning is how to better take care of each other as, you know, as a community. And that's one of the great things about the Montessori school. It's small, you know, 160 kids, 120 families, and everybody's starting to realize how important each other is and how much, you know, we can help other people through this time. So I believe that'll continue. That spirit of collaboration and community will continue through the COVID, you know, situation and put us in a stronger place at the end of it, hopefully.
Yeah. If anything, it's getting stronger, probably, right? And that social emotional, you know, component of the education too is prepared the kids and families, I think, to you know, serve better and you know, work through this better as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's it's one of the sad parts of what's remote learning and isolation learning is doing, is it's starting to wear thin the fabric of students' emotional well-being, just because they're not to be as social as they are in their friendships. But at the same time, our particular program and our school does that well. So we feel like we can re-enter kids and re-support them in strong ways. And I do think when I talk to parents, that's one of the big things they're concerned about now as we go into month 2 of remote learning, is just the disconnect they're feeling from their friends and their daily social life. It's so important to people, particularly kids, in their development.
No question. So that said, what do you see as the most likely outcomes of the situation in elementary education in general, and Montessori school as well?
Well, given the climate that we have with social, health and the approach we're taking,
Hmm.
which I think there are multiple approaches. If you look at what's going on around the world, the United States and states are taking a pretty, cautious approach, which is probably healthy in many ways for the long term, but it's creating some interesting challenges. And I think coming back in the fall, we're prepared to have remote learning as a beginning, or something that might come again as a seasonal flu season or a COVID season, until something is created to create some sense of vaccination, I suppose. And then we're just trying to look at how to best support the learning and focus on, it'll probably mean that schools will have to really focus on different scheduling to provide distancing, because it's not really an environment where you're able to do 1 to 10. That's, schools weren't designed for that, public schools. So if we're forced to go under certain health regulations and distancing requirements, then we're going to have to really rethink the way we have kids at school. And I think what I hear in the ether is it's like, oh, I'm a Monday, Wednesday, Friday kid, then a Tuesday, Thursday kid, or I'm a half day morning, a half day afternoon kid 1 week, so that kids are going to be in school part-time and they're going to be home part-time. For us, I could live with that. I mean, we have really strong teachers, and we could teach core curriculum in these shorter blocks of time, 2.5 hours in the morning or the afternoon. And all of what we've discovered is, I mean, PE isn't the greatest remotely, but every one of our special teachers and our literacy teachers are used to teaching now in an online forum, Google Hangouts. I can teach Spanish to 30 kids at once, because I have them on a computer. So we may see the teachers just teach the core, and then all of our specials teachers are teaching remotely. So then you have some flexibility in your morning and afternoon with your child, depending on what schedule they are. So
Gotcha.
I think that's going to be one of our key models. And I have a feeling that we're going to have to commit to both of those over the year. I just don't think you could add a third, like, oh, let's go back to normal. I don't know that there's going to be a normal for the next couple of years until things settle down. So that's our biggest uncertainty is there going to be a third option to come back and just be 20 kids in a classroom and not worry about anything. So.
Right. Wow. That's mind-boggling to me. That challenge you guys have ahead of you. That blows me away. Well, thanks for your commitment, and I know you guys will figure out the right thing to do. And a lot of it ends up on what you get told to do. It sounds like too. So, thanks again for joining me. Last question: how can people support Mountain Valley Montessori Charter School here in Steamboat?
I think as Steamboat residents, I think just knowing about us and understanding us is a really great thing. And obviously supporting education as they can, through their continual support of bonds and mill levies and things like that. While we don't get direct impact of that, I think as a charter school, we feel the support of the community. And I think eventually, maybe the best thing that could happen is the Board of Education decides that it's worthwhile to take us under their wing a little bit and share some of those resources with us. But one of the positives of this situation with COVID has been that I've partnered, I've been on calls with all the superintendents and, their finance people and the governor. And I mean, it's really actually brought the world of educators and administrators together in a way that has not been the case. So it's just good relationship building. So I think our job ahead is to just let people know we exist and what a good product we're doing out there, and then that they can have a choice, and that choice is a free public education with Montessori as the focus. So yeah. So thanks for having me on and giving me an opportunity to share the story and our success, and good luck with everything else as you move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really appreciate your time. And I can speak to the school. Athena loves it, and we wouldn't dream of going anywhere else. So we're happy you guys are here and doing everything we can to help. as well. So thanks so much, and thanks for doing what you're doing and pushing through and figuring out the new normal.
Uh,
Thanks
Thank you,
everybody for
Robert.
watching. Have a great day. We will see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive, and be well.